Hello Internet, thanks for tuning in into Lifestyle Infinite. Welcome to another maintenance video. Today I will be upgrading my current system. I have been neglecting these upgrades for longer than I care to admit, but now the time has come. Starting on with the UPS, aka uninterruptible power supply, aka desktop battery. When I started with computers, UPS was a must, but nowadays the trend is sort of not using a UPS in personal systems, except in office environment where UPS is mandatory, at least in the organization where I am or have worked. If you ask me whether a UPS is necessary or not, I would say running a system without a UPS is like going commando in a crowded bus. Jokes apart, I will be using a 600VA UPS from APC. There are two reasons behind my choice. Firstly, it is a reputable company in the UPS space. I have been trusting this brand since my first system, and it is yet to let me down. Not sponsored, by the way. Also, in the enterprise servers, I have seen APC UPS widely used in mission critical systems. Secondly, one thing about batteries is that batteries die. Battery replacement for this particular model is a breeze. Third-party batteries are easily available and it's easy to replace. Now, it's time to test it out. It's working as it should. Moving on to the next upgrade, the SSD. Working with video footage as well as playing newer games requires a lot of storage. I have this WD Black SN770 2TB M.2 NVMe SSD. This SSD hits the sweet spot between performance, storage requirement, and how much I am willing to spend. In order to clone my current SSD to avoid reinstallation of the operating system, I will be using Acronis drive cloning utility. Sadly, my motherboard has just one M.2 NVMe SSD slot. In order to connect the SSD to my system, I am using USB M.2 NVMe enclosure. In this case, it is Asus Strix Arion. To my shock, it connected and disconnected the SSD, frequently rendering it unusable. I have not seen this issue with other SSDs in this enclosure. My current PCIe M.2 NVMe card came to rescue. It detected the new SSDs without any issue. I thought it might be a problem with the USB NVMe enclosure, as the SSD was working fine in the PCIe card. On further analysis, I found that WD uses some sort of custom controller and some technique called HMB in newish SSDs. This does not play well with the USB enclosures. This I will keep in mind while planning future upgrades and recommendations. This 500GB Kingston SSD, which I pulled out of my NVMe enclosure, was initially pulled out of my current system during my last upgrade. Since then, I was using this as an external SSD. Later, it was moved to my Xeon server and it is till date working fine without any issues. Video already out. As my motherboard has a single M.2 SSD slot, I have been using the PCIe M.2 NVMe SSD adapter card paired with this 500GB Intel M.2 NVMe SSD. It has served me well, quite reliably. As the cloning is done, this 1TB crucial P3 SSD was just pulled out of my current system. Now it's time to clone my Intel SSD in a partition of my new WD SSD. I will turn my crucial 1TB SSD into an external one. You might ask me why I am not using this 1TB SSD with this PCIe card in my system. There are two reasons. I don't want to have another card hogging up my PCIe slot. Rather, I would be happy to have a 1TB external SSD handy. And 2 TB is plenty for me now, as I just finished building my very own 16TB NAS. Stay tuned, video coming soon. Now the upgrade is done and I am happy. I paused at a random point in the video where you least expected. I just have one question. Why none of you are subscribed? Please subscribe, it's free. A little sub would have went a long way. Now back to the video. For the next one, it was not planned, but I wished I had more RAM, as video editing consumed 32 gigs of my RAM like it was breakfast. And the GSkill TridentZ RGB RAM looks cool, but I had no reason to get another kit. It suddenly hit me. DDR5 is now everywhere, and the shopkeepers are trying to get rid of all DDR4 stock. It would be wise to upgrade it now, as premium stocks will disappear instantly, and after a few days, only generic stuff will flood the market. I was in luck. The shop nearby had 4 sticks of 16 gig GSkill TridentZ RGB RAM. I got 64 gigs of this cool looking RAM for less than what I paid for the 2 TB WD SSD. While changing the RAM, I remembered I was getting BIOS error while switching on my system every time for quite some time now. I thought of checking the BIOS battery as well. Lo and behold, the battery voltage is below from what it should be. Luckily, I have spare CR2032 battery, and after checking the new battery, I installed it as well. The funny thing is that I replaced it about a year back, and these batteries last for about 4 to 5 years on average. I got a cell from Philips earlier. I had terrible luck with Philips cells, but these Panasonic ones are fine. It has been dead for quite some time now, and it was quite frustrating to set the date time every time when I switched on my system. I am happy that the error at startup is gone now. All the upgrades on my system is done for the time being. Now I have double the RAM standing at 64 gigs, 2 terabytes of NVMe storage, battery backup to gracefully shut down my system in case of power outage, minus the BIOS error. I thought of upgrading the GPU to play the latest games. I usually get the base tier or 60 tier cards from Nvidia, but as of now 5060 is not much better and terrible value for money, and AMD will not cut due to poor VR performance and video editing performance. So I decided to wait out till something better comes out. Thanks for being there with me till the end. Like the video if you liked it or you got to know something useful. A sub if you loved it, it helps the channel a lot. I am working on more content like this, so stay tuned. Peace out.